Hey guys, so today I wanted to hop on the assumptions tag. I've seen quite a few YouTubers that I watch do a version of this recently. I know it was also really popular on YouTube a few years ago, and I just thought it would be a fun video, kind of something a little bit different than your average like Q&A, just as a way to kind of get to know me a little bit better. I'm also going to put on a full face of makeup while we go through these. I'm drinking a London Fog tea latte. This is from Aldi. They had like a carton of the London Fog tea concentrate, and you just mix like equal parts that concentrate and, whatever milk substitute of your choice. It's really good. For my makeup look, I'm just going to use a combination of items in my makeup basket and then maybe some new things and then some other things that are in my project pan. So let's go ahead and get started. So I asked you guys on Instagram and on my YouTube community tab to submit your assumptions about me. There were some personal ones, some kind of makeup related ones. So let's get started with Instagram. So one of these says you swear and cuss a lot in your personal life, and then another one said you don't curse. I'm gonna do a mix of my NYX Born to Glow and my Ilia Super Serum Skin Tint. I don't think I've ever mixed these two together, so kind of just want to see what that does. So I do curse in my personal life. I don't on my channel. I just never have, and so I've just kind of stuck with that. The main reason I don't curse on my channel is just because I know a lot of people who watch me have kids, and I just want as many people to be able to watch my videos as possible. Also, don't want to risk getting demonetized, and just the more you curse, the more likely you are to get demonetized. So that's why I don't on my channel. It's kind of a conscious choice that I made when I started, and I've just kind of stuck with that. I don't have anything against cursing on YouTube. Like, I watch a lot of YouTubers who do, and for some people it's like a big part of their personality, and I can see why you would want to keep that on your channel too, but I just don't really feel like it's like necessary on my channel. In real life, I would say I do curse a moderate amount. It depends on who I'm with, but with my boyfriend or my friends, like, I do curse a fair amount. Okay, here's another interesting one. You come from a religious family but aren't religious yourself. This is half true. I am not religious, but I did not come from a religious family either. We never grew up going to church or anything. My mom's side of the family, like my mom grew up Catholic, my dad grew up Jewish, and so we always celebrated both Christmas and Hanukkah when I was growing up, but we never actually went to church or practiced any specific religion. Funny story though, I grew up in a very conservative part of Georgia. I went to a public high school, but it might as well have been a private Christian school because everybody who went there was super Christian. And for example, this surprises people when I tell people who didn't grow up in this kind of area. I was in the marching band in high school, and every time we were about to go out on the field and perform, we would huddle together and say the Lord's Prayer. That was just normal at my high school, which is so funny because at most public schools, that is not the case. And it's really not okay. Looking back, that is not acceptable. I just kind of went along with it, and I had to learn the Lord's Prayer just so I would fit in. I also, everyone who went to my school pretty much went to church. I was one of the only ones that didn't go to church. And a normal topic for people when you were first meeting someone was to ask oh, where do you go to church? And whenever I would say, oh, I don't go to church, people would look at me with this look of pity. It was so uncomfortable. It was very normal for there to be prayers and just a lot of religious indoctrination at my school, which was just very, very interesting, a very unique growing up experience that I had. But no, I am not religious. I didn't grow up religious, and it's just never been a big part of my life. And I'm honestly I'm grateful that I didn't grow up in church. Yeah, when I got to college, I went to UGA, which is a big public state school, and most of the people that I went to college with came from Metro Atlanta, and they everyone was always so surprised when I told them about my high school experience because it is not normal. I didn't realize how abnormal it was until I got out of it, and it was especially weird being the only kid who didn't go to church in the entire school. You never get angry. That is definitely a false assumption. I'm going in with my Pacifica Liquid Cover Concealer. If there's anything I'm using that I don't mention, I'll have everything listed down below in case you're curious. But no, I feel like it would be pretty weird for someone to never get angry. Like, that's a normal human emotion to experience. Yeah, I do get angry sometimes. If I do get angry, I try to, like, calm down before I react, generally, you know, but of course I get angry sometimes. Let's see, you graduated the top 5% of your high school class. I did. I was actually the salutatorian of my high school. Now, my high school is very small. I think we had like 150 people in my graduating class, so not tiny, but not a huge school either. You hate or are allergic to dogs. No, I don't hate dogs, and I'm also not allergic to dogs. I'm just more of a cat person, but I do still like dogs, but they're not like my preferred pet. But we had a dog growing up named Bingo. He was so cute. I would definitely say I'm more of a small dog person. Big dogs can be a little overwhelming to me. Just, they're slobbery, they jump all over you, like, that's not really my thing. I know some people just love when dogs, like, come running up to them and, like, are super enthusiastic and affectionate. I prefer a little bit more of a chill dog. But no, I don't hate dogs at all. I would say I really like dogs. I just don't really want to have one as a pet. That's not to say I never would have one as a pet, but it would just have to be the right fit. This one says, you want to do more panning content on your YouTube channel. I really don't. I would say I'm happy with the amount of panning content that I'm currently doing. I don't feel like it would make sense to do any more than what I'm doing right now. I mean, I do my year-long rolling project pan and my eyeshadow, or my Pan Those Eyeshadows project pan. And I just feel like that's good. I'm good with that. Any more than that, I feel like would get too overwhelming. And I do feel like there comes a certain point where it can be too much. Like, I always still want to just enjoy my collection as a whole. And I never want panning to, like, get in the way of that. So I would say I'm currently happy with the amount of project panning content that I'm doing. I also really don't want to, like, box myself in to just being a project panner. I want my channel to encompass a little bit more than that. This one says, you're not into fashion. That is true. I would say that's a true assumption. I wonder why you think that. Probably just because I wear, like, the same shirts over and over again in my videos. I don't have a lot of clothes. I really don't. I don't go clothes shopping very often either. And it's not that I wouldn't want to go clothes shopping more. I just really, like, I used to go thrifting a lot, but ever since the pandemic, I kind of stopped. I don't know. I don't have the patience to, like, look around in stores. I really hate shopping for clothes, especially in store. Like, I hate trying things on. That's one thing I like about the pandemic, is that now most, like, fitting rooms are closed, and so it forces me to just kind of, like, make a decision without having to go in the fitting room and spend, like, 3 hours trying things on. I just do not have the patience or the mental energy to go through that every time I want new clothes. But yeah, I'm really not a big fashion person. It's not that I wouldn't want to be. Like, I think maybe one day. The thing is, like, most of my disposable income right now goes towards makeup, because I love makeup. It's my main hobby. Cat stuff, and what else? Like, going out to eat, I would say. And that was another assumption, actually, on YouTube, on the community tab, was you love to eat out and you like a casual style of clothing. So it's funny we're talking about this now. I do love eating out. I feel like that's one of the things, like, if I made a ton of money, I would probably eat out way more often, or, like, get takeout more often, because I do enjoy having food prepared for me. I don't love cooking. And while we're talking about that, one person's assumption was you like cooking and are good at it. I'm not bad at cooking. I would say I do like following recipes, but I would say I'm not great at, like, coming up with a dish on the fly. I mean, I like cooking, don't get me wrong, and I would say we eat at home most days of the week, just because eating out can get really expensive. But I do enjoy going out to eat. This one's funny. You seem like you have zero time for other people's BS, but you're polite about it. I would say that's a pretty accurate assumption. I try to be polite. Honestly, a lot of times I just ignore people who are full of BS, you know? I don't have time for it. It's true, I don't. This is a nice one. You seem like a healthful person, eating, exercise, sleep habits, etc. I try to be. There have been times in my life where I've been better about being healthful than others. I used to go to the gym like 5 days a week. I stopped going to the gym when the pandemic hit, mainly just because I don't really feel safe. I don't think they like enforce mask wearing at most gyms, the one I used to go to. I also don't want to work out in a mask, so I'd rather just work out at home. But I also hate working out at home. I do not have the self-motivation. I used to go to like workout classes at my gym. You know, they'd have like yoga, stuff with free weights, different like fun Pilates classes. That is the kind of working out that I can stick to because I just show up, somebody tells me what to do, it's over in like 30 minutes to an hour. So I will say I do really miss that. I'm hoping to get back to that when I feel safe doing so. But yeah, exercise-wise, I would say now, like, I do try to walk every day. I did get like a standing desk treadmill set up that's been really helpful. Or just going outside for walks, I feel like is also just really good for my mental health. But I don't really work out these days. I would like to change that though. I would say I eat fairly healthy, but I definitely feel like there's room for improvement. And as far as sleep habits, I'm really bad about staying up late. Like I will try to get on like an earlier sleep schedule and then I just can't stick to it for very long. So I would say I'm more of just a somewhere in the middle kind of person, at least right now, as far as healthfulness. This next one says, you and your boyfriend want to leave Georgia. Yes, that is true. We are actually planning on leaving Georgia this year. I haven't shared where we're going yet, but I will definitely be sharing that closer to our move. And I honestly, after this, I don't really see myself coming back. I have lived in Georgia the majority of my life, and I'm just ready to experience new things. And then also, you don't want to go back to a 9-to-5 job. That is also true. I do not. That is the e.l.f. Primer Infused Blush in the shade Always Cheeky, by the way. Really liking that. Very pretty color. Yeah, I don't really want to go back to a 9-to-5 job. If I did, I would want it to be a job where I would be like kind of on my feet or like just being somewhat active. I would prefer not to go to like a 9-to-5 desk job. You've always only been in serious relationships or like over 6 months. For the most part, I guess that's true. At least I'm thinking about like my adult life. Like obviously there were people that I dated briefly, but that didn't like turn into a relationship, so I'm not really counting those. There was the only relationship I think that was less than 6 months was like 3 or 4 months. And the dude just straight up ghosted me after like 3 months of actually like officially being together. So that was fun. But in hindsight, I'm really glad he did because he kind of sucked. This one is funny. You're a slow driver. That is not true. I wouldn't say I'm the fastest driver on the road, but I am probably among the top 50% of faster drivers. A part of you misses your old job. No. No. Yeah, so if you didn't know, I worked at the same job for like 4 years, over 4 years actually. Basically, it was the job that I started as soon as I got out of college. I was working for a nonprofit, and I quit that job back in July of 2021. And ever since then, I've been doing YouTube full time, and it's been absolutely amazing. I don't miss my old job at all. The people were really great, nothing against them whatsoever, but it just wasn't the job for me. It wasn't the field I wanted to be in. I felt very burnt out. I felt very like I just wasn't the right person for the job, and I felt like there was somebody out there who would be amazing at it, and I just wanted to like open up that position to someone else, honestly. So no, I don't miss it at all. I learned a lot. It was a good experience. I don't regret having worked there for as long as I did, but I don't miss it either. This one says, you are a picky eater. I don't consider myself a picky eater. I used to be more picky. Another one was that you're vegan. I do eat a vegan diet. I have been since 2014. And I actually feel like I've gotten less and less picky being vegan. And I know that might sound kind of like counterintuitive, but being vegan, you know, sometimes there's only like one option at a restaurant, and maybe that's not the option I would have chosen not being vegan, but I kind of like, I gotta eat, so I do kind of like push myself to try things that I maybe otherwise wouldn't have if I weren't vegan. Yeah, I'm pretty much willing to try anything, as long as it's vegan, obviously. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a picky eater anymore. I like vegetables, I like most foods. I really do. I used to hate mushrooms, love them now. I used to hate onions, don't really mind them anymore. Like, I don't like eating raw onions, but I have really come to appreciate like the flavor that onions bring to a dish. Yeah, I don't think I'm a picky eater. All right, this next one says, you are very independent. It is rare for you to ask for help even from a young age. And that is very true. It's something I'm kind of working on now as an adult. Dude, why are my eyelids so dry? What the heck? But I don't necessarily think it's healthy to be like that independent to the point where you like never want to ask for help. And I think it, like I was always very shy as a kid. Like I was the kid that like would rarely raise my hand in class. I got better about it as I got older and got into college and stuff, or like if I was having trouble with like a homework assignment, I would be very reluctant to ask the teacher for help. I'd be like, no, I have to figure this out on my own. I can't admit that I need help. And I don't think that's healthy at all. So naturally that is how I am, but I am trying to undo that now. All right, I'm gonna do my brows real quick. It's just very hard for me to talk and do my brows at the same time, so I will be right back. Just spontaneously decided to pluck my brows too, because they kind of needed it. Sometimes I like plucking my brows after I've filled them in, because I can kind of like see the shape that I want and then just pluck anything that's like outside of that shape. So pro tip. This next one says, you wear makeup every day. And then someone else said, you actually don't wear makeup every day. I would say I wear makeup most days, not every single day. Like there will occasionally be a day that I just don't get around to doing my makeup or I don't feel like it. I would say on average, I probably wear makeup 6 days a week. So there's usually one day in there that I don't wear it. Some weeks I wear it every single day. Some weeks I might only wear it 3 days that week. But for the most part, I do try to do it every day. It's just like, for me, it's like a calming thing. Like, you know, some people meditate every day. Some people do yoga every day. I like to take time to put on makeup every day. It's just relaxing and fun and a creative outlet for me. So, all right, moving over to the YouTube ones. This one's interesting. You only recommend expensive products when they've been sent to you, but you wouldn't actually buy them yourself. No, I don't think that's true at all. There are plenty of expensive products that I have bought myself that I recommend. I mean, this, I'm holding it right now, the Nabla Skin Glazing Highlight and Privilege. Bought this myself. Highly recommend it. You know, and I've also received expensive products in PR that I have fallen in love with and recommended, but I've also received plenty of expensive products in PR that I've said, absolutely, I would not buy this with my own money. It's way overpriced, whatever. I can see why you might think that, because like sometimes I will receive a product in PR that I probably never would have initially bought to try. Like maybe it's a brand I never would have heard of before, or I just wasn't really on my radar before. Like a good example of that would be like the Clove and Hallow Hydra Tint blush, this liquid blush. I probably never would have bought this myself to begin with because it just wasn't a brand that was really on my radar, but I absolutely fell in love with this blush. I've been raving about it for like 2 years. And it's one of those products I received in PR, but if I lost it, well, this is discontinued, so it's not a great example. But assuming this was not discontinued and I lost this, I would absolutely go out and buy a new one. Same with like my BK Beauty brushes. I love these brushes. Would I have bought them to begin with? I don't know. I don't know that I would have, but now that I've had the chance to try them and I love them, I recommend them all the time. If I lost them for some reason, I would probably replace them. I would buy them myself because I just think they're that good. But you know, at the end of the day, like I try my best to give you the pros and cons of any product, whether I received it or not. And, you know, it's really up to you to decide for yourself if something is going to be worth the money. And I always say, wait for a sale, especially if I think something is a little bit overpriced to begin with. Like, here's a good example, just giving lots of examples here. The Ilia Skin Tint. I think this is a great product, but it's really expensive. Like, I wouldn't pay full price for this. But if, the way I describe it sounds like something you would like, I do recommend it, but ultimately it's up to you to decide what is within your budget and what's going to be worth the money. If you're ever wondering if I received something in PR or bought it myself, in my description box, I will always mark anything that was received in PR with an asterisk. So I always list all the products that I'm talking about in a video. If I, for some reason, forget to mention it verbally, it's always marked in the description box. So if you're ever wondering, you can always check there. But no, I mean, I feel like you guys hear me say pretty often, this product is expensive, I received it in PR, I like it, but I honestly would not buy it with my own money. I feel like I say that all the time. To say I only recommend expensive products when they've been sent to me, that's just not true. I mean, I have so many expensive products that I've bought myself and recommend. So it's not like the only expensive products I recommend are ones that were sent to me. All right, I'm going to go in with I think I want to use my Mimosa palette. I talked about this in my older palettes that I'm excited to reach for this spring, but I also kind of want to use my single clarity shadow in the shade Hot Cheeto. This is in my makeup basket. I haven't even used it once, and it's been in my makeup basket for like a few weeks now, so really would like to use that. I'm gonna do like a peachy orange look. I think that's gonna be really fun. So I'm gonna start off with the shade We Heart Brunch. This next one says, you're pursuing YouTube as your only career and you don't like rap music or country music. So at the moment, yes, I am pursuing YouTube as my only career. I would ultimate dream job is to be a full-time YouTuber, which is currently what I'm doing. I still pinch myself every single day. Like, I cannot believe that this is my life. Yeah, I love YouTube so much, and I think it can make a very viable job for a lot of people. And yeah, I'd love to do a video about more about that and how I quit my job and started doing YouTube full-time at only 12,000 subscribers. I think a lot of people assume that you need 100,000 subscribers to be a full-time YouTuber, but that's just not true anymore. Then I'm gonna go in with Vibes. Right now, YouTube is my only job. It's not to say it always will be. I can definitely see myself having other jobs throughout my life. I've never really been the type of person to be like, I'm just gonna have one set career for my entire life. That's just not, I've never understood how people can just commit to something like that. But right now, YouTube is working great for me. I absolutely love it. I literally, I look forward to waking up the next day and working. I look forward to Mondays because it means I get to sit down and film and do what I love. I feel like I'm very lucky to be able to say that, because a lot of people dread waking up on Monday morning and going into work, but I just feel so lucky to be doing something that I love so much. It doesn't feel like work at all. It feels like a dream. And that, of course, there are challenging parts of any job. There are a lot of challenges that come along with being a YouTuber, but I absolutely love it. But, one day I may decide I want to go into something else, or I want to have another job in addition to YouTube. So, but right now it is my main career. And you don't like rap music or country music. That's half true. I don't really like country music, but I do like rap music. I wouldn't say I listen to it a ton, but I really do appreciate the incredible talent that goes into being a rapper. It's a really, really cool genre of music to me. All right, I'm gonna go in with this Clarity single in the shade Hot Cheeto. I washed my brushes yesterday, and I have to say, lately, I don't know who I am anymore, but I've been really enjoying washing my brushes. And I never used to say that. I've always dreaded washing my brushes, but lately it's kind of relaxing. I don't know what changed. I think I just kind of decided wow, that's a really bright orange. It's a little brighter than I was expecting. I don't know what I expected though. I mean, look at it. I used to really dread it, but I don't know. I guess recently I just kind of decided I'm going to start washing my brushes more regularly because I have acne prone skin. It's a good practice to wash your brushes. Really, you should wash them once a week. Because I have so many brushes that I can kind of rotate through them, I can kind of switch them out, oh, this one's super dirty, I can just use this one instead. I can kind of go a month in between, but lately I've been consistently washing my brushes once a month and not dreading it either. I kind of enjoy it. It's kind of relaxing to see all the makeup, like wash and like rinse out of your brushes. I don't know. And then like my brushes, I feel like they just work so much better when they're clean. Anyway, let's see. Do I have any others? This is funny. You've never watched Sex and the City. That is true. I haven't. I feel like it was a little bit before my time when it was really initially popular. Like, when was it popular? Like the early 2000s? I think I was just probably like a little too young to watch it in that time, but I don't know. Should I watch it? Would I like it? I don't know. So that is a little bit brighter than I intended. I think I'm gonna go over that with like a lighter peachy shimmer, like Champagne from the Mimosa palette. Just kind of tapping that over the majority of my lid right now. Okay, I don't know how I feel about this look. Very warm. Very warm toned. I feel like it goes well with my like light blue shirt and earrings. I might actually use a little bit of Happy Hour here, this kind of like orangey brown shade, to sort of deepen up the outer corner a little bit. I feel like I could use just like a little bit of definition here. Let me see. I kind of burned through a lot of these really fast. Let me go back to Instagram and see if there's any others. You make very little waste and you try to live a very low waste life and hate wasting anything. I would say that's mostly true. I definitely try not to be too hard on myself because, like, you know, obviously I think like big corporations are the ones who are mostly responsible for our climate crisis right now. And I just don't think it's worthwhile for any one person to like go crazy trying to be perfectly zero waste. Like, it's just, it's not necessary. But I do try to be mindful of what I bring into my life. I try to only buy things that I'm going to actually use. Yeah, I just really try to focus on using what I have, you know, picking lower waste options when I can. But I mean, I do buy things from the grocery store that are wrapped in plastic. I'm certainly not like plastic free or zero waste by any means. So, you know, I do my best, but I'm definitely not striving for perfection or zero waste or anything like that. Oh, this one's funny. You like fur kids more than human kids. That is true. I've just never really been a kid person. Like, I've talked about it before, I didn't really grow up with kids around. Like, I was the youngest. I do have an older sister. So one person asked if I'm an only child. No, I do have an older sister. But I never had younger siblings, didn't really have like close cousins that were younger. So I don't really have a lot of experience like taking care of little kids, or I'm not great at like communicating with little kids. I feel like it's just not my thing. Some people, like my boyfriend, are great with kids. He's actually an elementary school teacher, so he's great with kids. But I can kind of take him or leave him. Not really, I don't know, I'm just not really a human kid person. But yeah, I would say, I think I would be perfectly happy in life, like never having children. But I will always have fur babies because I wouldn't be able to live without them. They're the best. You loved math and science in school. I would say that's half true. I didn't really like science, or I wasn't that great at science. Like, I remember like I really struggled in chemistry in high school. I could not wrap my head around it. But I did really well in math. I really enjoyed like calculus, statistics. I actually started out college as a statistics major. I ended up changing my major because I really just didn't like the professors. They just couldn't hold my attention, and I just kind of lost interest in it after a couple semesters, so I ended up switching my major to linguistics, which I regret, but that's another story for another day. But yeah, I did really enjoy math. My dad is actually a retired math professor, so I guess I just have that kind of analytical part of my brain was developed from a young age. Interesting eye look. I can't say it's my favorite that I've ever done, but I don't hate it. This one says, you love the outdoors, maybe even hiking. I wouldn't consider myself a very outdoorsy person. I don't like bugs. I don't like spiders. I don't like being hot. I don't like being too cold. I don't really like being uncomfortable, so if I can avoid that, yeah. But yeah, and hiking, it's not that I don't like hiking, but the last few times I went hiking, I did not have a good time. I don't know if I was just unprepared or what, but like maybe the hikes were like too hard for me, but I get really impatient on hikes. I'm like, especially long ones where they're like really grueling. I'm just like, when is this going to be over? Because I'm tired. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for hikers. Like it really, you have to be very in shape to do like strenuous hikes. You know, we're talking like 13-mile hikes. I went on a 13-mile hike once and I didn't have the proper shoes. Again, I don't think I was prepared for like how strenuous it was going to be. My feet hurt for like a week after that. Oh my god. So yeah, it's not that I don't like hiking, but it's not like my #1 activity that I like to do. I'm really enjoying so far this Makeup Revolution Fix and Glow Dewy Finish Setting Spray. I've only used it like twice so far, but so far I'm loving it. Smells really good. It feels really refreshing. The mister is nice. I don't get like giant droplets on my face. And I just feel like it gives my skin this really pretty glow that's like not too over the top, and it doesn't feel too like oily or greasy like the Pixie Glow Mist sometimes can. So far I'm really happy with this. All right, for the lips, I think I'm just gonna wear my Urban Decay Plumping Shine Balm in my Dude. It's like a very sheer version of this color. I think it'll go nicely with this eye look. Birds are a-chirping out there. Okay, so I think that's the finished makeup look, and I think that's all of the assumptions that I'm gonna have time to get to today. I did get to most of them, so I'm proud of myself, but thank you guys so much for submitting your assumptions, and thank you so much to all of you who just sent really sweet compliments. I really do appreciate it, so thank you for your kind words if that was you. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you've not already. I upload 3 to 4 videos every week, and hopefully I will talk to you again very soon in my next one. Bye.